It's the Dave Day that will take us into the new year. Ken Kara, SSP TV Sports Director with Standard Speaker Sports Editor Dave Seaman. And Dave, just like we predicted, really, for the Cotton Bowl, there was more points than I really thought in that Cotton Bowl, with Penn State winning 53-39 over Memphis. But my player to watch, Dave, was Journey Brown. He had a really big day for Penn State. Micah Parsons, I think someone tweeted, you'll remember this as the Micah Parsons game. And you have a funny story about this. And Dave, we even said it was cut out of Dave Day last week, but we were talking about how Micah kind of quietly has like 10 tackles at the end of the game, but hasn't really made like a huge play, or I'm sure he has, but we were talking about how he just gets he quietly has these really good games. He wasn't quiet on Saturday.
No, not at all. He's a dynamic player, and the point I was trying to make, I was watching the game with my brothers, and I said he's not. I guess it's unfair to compare him to like a LeVar Arrington or even a Shane Conlon or Paul Posluszny, guys that like forced fumbles or picked up scoop and scores, and always making those dynamic plays that you always remember. I remember LeVar Arrington against Drew Brees and Purdue, like making a strip stack in a key game, or Shane Conlon with the interception returns against Miami in the Fiesta Bowl way back when. I mean, in the game against Memphis, Micah Parsons was everything as advertised and more. And I got to remember that he is only a sophomore, and he is only he's a player that's only going to get better because he's just learning how to play a linebacker position, and he was dynamic in that game. There weren't many defensive highlights in that game if you watched, but he certainly was one. That's for sure.
Yeah, Memphis passed all over Penn State, Dave. We talked about the possibility there, but going into the 2020 season, I mean, the Lawn Boys for Penn State, these running backs, Journey Brown, 202 rushing yards, Noah Cain, 92 rushing yards, Ricky Slade had 58. A lot of them back next year, Dave. Journey Brown's back, right?
Yes.
So they're all coming back. Micah Parsons will be coming back. Quarterback Sean Clifford's back. The question's out there with KJ Hamler. Will he be coming back? Pat Fryermuth coming back. I guess what I'm saying, Dave, is everything seems to be lining up for a big 2020 for Penn State. What are you looking forward to next year?
I think so. I mean, and another key aspect of that is a lot of those offensive linemen are coming back next year too. I think you're going to see a lot more emphasis on the run next year. They like the run-pass option, especially if KJ Hamler does decide to go. And I'm expecting him to leave. I really think he established himself at Penn State. Will he come back to be part of what could be a very special season? We'll see. But with all that experience coming back on the offensive line and in the backfield, a quarterback who understands the system, and you saw how it worked against Memphis, and I think they're going to ride with that.
And Dave, how about Notre Dame? They get a big win over Iowa State, 33-9 in the Camping World Bowl. Ian Book is coming back for the Fighting Irish, and he had another big game, 20 of 28 for 247 yards and a touchdown. So the Irish setting themselves up very nicely for next season as well. Another 11-win season. John Eric Polai told me, I think it was the first back-to-back 11-win seasons for Notre Dame in decades. So things going well for the Irish, and they too should be set up very nice for next year. And you mentioned they have a date with Clemson.
Clemson next year too, and they get that game at home too. And I think it's about time Notre Dame wins one of those games. That you don't expect them to win. The game against Georgia this year, they battled, and they came up a little bit short. They went to Michigan, really laid an egg in that game, but they bounced back nicely. You win 11 games in any college football season against the schedule the Irish play. We talked about too that some of the teams that Notre Dame were on their schedule maybe their big seasons didn't materialize, but Notre Dame won the game. So give the Irish credit, give Brian Kelly a lot of credit. Back-to-back win, that's nothing to sneeze at, that's for sure.
And Dave, going to the College Football National Championship, LSU beat Oklahoma in the one semifinal, 63-28 in the Peach Bowl. And Dave, I just watched the game like, I know how good LSU is and Joe Burrow is, but I mean, they just continue to impress week in and week out.
Yeah, I mean, their offense is nobody's really stopped their offense this year. And they showed early this season, they went to Texas, they put up 45 points in that game too, and they just weren't stopped in that game, continued it throughout the season. Against Alabama, they moved the ball at will, and then against Oklahoma, I think they just scored again too, if you want to look at it, because it's a fun offense to watch, and they're a team that's going to the championship game because they deserve it.
With how good LSU's been, a lot of people pick Clemson even going into the semifinals to win the national championship, defend their national championship. They beat Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl 29-23. Dave, can Clemson stop the LSU offense?
Can they stop an LSU? They're going to have to score a lot of points, I think, because I think LSU is going to get, they're at least 28, 31 points. But if Clemson can match them point for point, these Clemson guys have been there before. You have a top quarterback, a top running back in Lawrence and Etienne, respectively. They're not going to back down.
So, Dave, who wins that national championship? I think LSU finishes this thing out.
Well, I think it's going to be the Tigers. Wait a minute. Both teams are the Tigers. Both teams are the Tigers. Both teams are in purple. I just think Clemson has that edge to them. I just think they know they have been there before for how good LSU is. Clemson's just as good offensively, especially at the skill positions. I think Clemson scores enough points to outscore LSU, and I think like a 38-28 game.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time today. Have a happy new year. Enjoy the rest of the bowl games, everyone, and enjoy Dave's work in the Standard Speaker.